Okay, today we are going to work on my Korean hornbeam. Before I get started, I'm just going to talk a little bit about how I weed. Um, Before I had started, this whole pot was covered in weeds like this. Now, the majority of them weren't these, whatever this is. They were clover, and that's my biggest weed problem is clover. And the clover can be a bit hard to remove at times. It breaks easy. But what you want to do with weeds, and this is a tree here, this is a red maple. This is a weed because I don't want it here. But you usually just pull it by the stem and pull it out. And I probably will try to plant that. That's still got nice roots on it. So we'll put that aside. But you generally just want to pull as low as you can on the thing and slowly pull it out, because a lot of times if you pull it out too quick, it will just break the stem and you won't get the weed out. And if you don't get the roots out, the weed will come back. They're going to come back anyways. They'll just produce more seeds that get in there eventually somehow. But clover tends to be a lot harder to remove than, say, what I'm removing here. These got thicker stems, so they're a lot easier to remove. And I just generally knock most of the dirt off, the soil off. Here's a piece of clover. Now this, I really want to try to get as low down as I can for it. And you just use a tweezers, and there, I broke that off. That didn't come out. Sometimes you can try again, but that'll just be a piece of clover that will grow back. But generally, as much as you can, you want to try to keep the weeds out. It's not always an easy thing to do. I have a bad habit of waiting until I work on the tree. And here I have a lot of little pieces of clover that I just will not be able to get the roots out. I know that. Just looking at them, I know they're too thin. So I just remove what I can, and because these are just going to compete with your tree, so they're best removed. So this is my Korean hornbeam. If I would have to guess on a front, it would probably have to be just about there, which is not the most practical area to be for the pot, but I'm not really worried about this. This is not really a pot. It's just a plastic dish basin masquerading as a pot. But what we're going to do today is we're going to work on this a little. One, we're going to work on the top of the tree the most. But we're just going to generally clip things back. And we'll just start getting in here. Like this. Yeah, I like this branch. I'm going to keep this branch. We're just going to cut this back. We're not going for any particular style at this time. We're just generally getting rid of what I want. I think I'll get rid of this because this is kind of moving in on itself. So we'll get rid of that. This at some point probably needs to be, if I'm going to keep it, it's going to need to be wired up, but I think it's too thin right now to wire up, so we'll just leave that as it is. This one's way over here, so we're just going to chop that back for now. Probably get rid of it because it's growing in on itself, in on the other branch trunk. And I'm just generally, again, as you normally, when you trim, when you prune, you want to prune back to a branch that's in the direction that you're looking for. And these do have alternating leaves, as you know, they're not both on the same thing. They alternate. One comes out this side, then the next comes out, and there's just one leaf per node on a hornbeam. And get rid of that because it's growing in on itself too much. And then we're going to clip this back to this one facing towards the camera right now. Now this needs to, okay, this, I think over here we got three branches here. I'm going to get rid of the middle one. Just because it's most undesirable. It is the thickest at the moment. So it won't work as good. Put the top front of that, the end of that off. This I probably should wire up now. This is all thick enough, but we will clip it back first. Okay, this is dead here. And just remove that altogether. Now here I'm trying to decide if I keep this longer piece here, which is almost straight, and then it turns here and it divides, or do I take this bit of movement and remove this? I think I will remove this for the bit of movement, and then we will cut it to an outward facing bud. There. So I'm going to get a piece of wire. I don't want to wire that up. I don't think I'm going to need very thick wire. Let's see if there's anything. No, these would need more wire. So need thicker wire than that. Oh, no, no, no. We are doing this one over here. What am I thinking? This is too thin. Well, actually, okay, we are gonna do two wirings at once here. And I noticed that Korean hornbeam has a natural tendency to grow up and then start coming down, which for the most part is good, but it does like this where it grows up too far and then doesn't get down. Like this whole branch could probably use a little bit of a twist. So I'll probably put another piece of wire on it because I don't think this size wire will work for that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it'll work. But these generally I find don't need a lot of a heavy wire most of the time. Its branches are fairly pliable, so we usually don't need really thick wire, but we're going to need a thicker wire than that to get that to where we want it. And then I want to wire the end of this branch here a little up. It bends down a little too much. for the way it looks. And I'm going to actually move it a little bit this way. And then this probably should be brought down. And we might be able to, if we have a thick enough wire, we might be able to actually twist this and bring this up. It's too thin to wire itself, but it may work with another piece of wire. And with this one, we're going to take care of this branch, the other branch. So we're going to just run this pretty much along a smaller piece of wire. So, kind of just kind of, yeah, and then you see I kind of twisted this branch a little bit, and then I'm going to bring it further up here and bring the top of this down a little bit, which that should work. And then I think I'm going to actually clip this branch back to a branch on that side. So now we want to bring this up this side. And our only goal here is to like twist this whole majority of this branch a little bit so that we bring this side down a bit and this side up a bit. That should be achievable right here and there. I'm going to pull this in a little bit and then try to shift this a little bit like that. And then that brings this over top of that. I'm going to try to bring this down a little bit. Bring this end up. And I don't mind this branch here still being up a bit. We can always bring the branch itself down, the end of it. Like so. And then we need to do some decisions on the end here. That off there. Take put that there. We'll cut this one to this one that's facing that way. This branch is really too long, but I don't want to cut back. I'm not sure how well these branch back without anything, so I'm not going to take any chances. I'm not sure on that one on this. So we'll leave some live branch, but I think I will cut it back 2 nodes for now. So, okay, we got those going to where we want them for now. Okay, let me just get the wire trimmed up. Oh, I'm having such trouble getting to that. Trim this, and then that one's good, and this just needs to be trimmed here. Then I got a piece of wire left later. This is another area, this side needs some wiring. I'm not the craziest about this straight section here, but I also don't want to remove this whole thing, I don't think. Although, actually, I have this. You know, that actually would work. We actually are going to remove this. I had not liked this. I had kept it because it's what I had. This has grown out the last year. This is just too straight in here. There's a little thing to the back, and then it takes an abrupt movement here. And I don't like the straightness and then the abrupt sharp turn here. So we're going to remove all that. I'm going to use, I think I'm going to use the knob cutters for this. We're just going to roughly, oops, just going to roughly cut this off to start with. Like so. Might try to make some cuttings out of that. Or even what I have over here. I'll move. I don't know if I might have cut off a piece of this. If I did, we cut this here. We cut this branch off that we were talking about. I may have accidentally turned the video off when I was moving the camera, because the camera went off and it wasn't length of thing. So, but we cut the branch off here. You can see the wound. Okay, so this should heal up nicely where it is now. It's nice and sunk in. It's not it's not too high on any of the edges. And I will show you how I put my paste on. The cutting paste I use is kind of the consistency of toothpaste. If anybody's ever wondering the brand I use, I can get you a link. I can get you the name or a link to it on Amazon or someplace that has it. But I don't know the name because I can keep forgetting the name, but it's all in Japanese. The only things I can understand are the numbers and made in Japan. So now I'm going to also wire this up because I'm going to turn this into another piece that'll go like this way. So it's kind of low for us. Trying to decide. This is a good way of deciding if you can use a piece of wire or not. If you pull it on there and you can pull the branch up way up. Now this might work because I can pull the branch without it bending too much and then it starts bending. But I'll show you the next size up I have. Now if I do this, I can bring this up quite a bit and it won't bend the wire. And that's an indication that the wire will hold the branch. That's just something I learned a few years back as a good judgment of if you're not sure what size wire you need. But I'm going to use the thicker wire to make sure we get it to hold where I want it. And this was just a piece of the wire I had from before. Because actually now it's probably too thick for the end. It's going to be hard to really get this around here. And that's the problem with too thick a wire, is you could damage your branch trying to wire it. So the end I will actually bring up a thinner piece of wire along this wire. And I'll cut this here. And then we will kind of just do some bending. I'm trying to get the leaves orientated right on this, for one. And then I'm just going to kind of bring this down a little. I think, yeah, we want this a lot like this branch, not to go way up. I don't want it to go way up. I want it to come up a little, but I don't want it to go way up. And then we'll develop that into the new branch. I think that gives the tree a much better line without that piece that's like, it's like 2 inches straight. I don't think it added anything to the tree. We got this branch up here. I'm gonna cut this branch off here because it actually comes back more than a 90 on itself. I don't know. Either gonna take it off. I don't know. Let's just take part of it off and try that. Yeah, I can probably turn that into a decent branch. So we'll cut this branch that's wrapped around here. If something develops off this, it should go this way out. So it'll work. It should work nicely. And then this branch has a nice movement. I just need to clean that up. And then cut it back to this little branch here. That'll work. We got this next one up here. I'm going to take this off. It's growing up. This is not useful on that branch. I'm going to take, this is growing out of the base of the main branch on this one, so we're just going to take that off. That's in the wrong position. And then clean that up a little. And then we will work on this. I think we'll go here to a branch facing that way. And then here to a branch that's facing that way. And then trying to decide if I want this branch. I think I do. I'll take it and we'll cut it to this branch that goes this way. Now here's a wound back here that is healing up. It's healed up, it's almost healed up. But it's kind of giving it a little bit of, there's kind of some reverse taper there. I'm not sure I like that very much. But I think we could clean this, after this is healed up, we can cut this side. This is probably the worst part here, it's just the little bulge on the side. That can be cleaned up later. I'll let this heal up over, completely heal up before I do that. And on the top here, I don't like, this branch comes up and then goes 90 off of this. It doesn't work. So I think this will be the new leader. This will be the leader. We'll get rid of this and cut it right there. So I'll have to get the other, the branch cutters, and we will cut that like so. Clean that up a little bit better so it'll heal up better. Okay, we'll get some cut paste. And with the cut paste, you don't want it too far over, but you do want it over the edge, because it's the edge you're mostly worried about. If you had a huge, if you had a really big wound, you wouldn't have to cover that whole wound. You could just get the edges. These are too small to really worry about that. But you want it over the edges, but you also don't want to go nuts and get it all over the bark. Because if it's part that's going to stay and won't heal over, because usually like this one's healed over, and really the only place there's cutting paste is in the middle anymore. But the cut paste will generally stay on the bark for quite a few years. I have some that I've done a couple years ago still have the paste on it. This paste won't, once it's dry, it's fairly waterproof. It will, if you get like a lot of rain one day, it'll kind of get like a milky color, but it ain't going to really go anywhere. Okay, this one here, I'm trying to decide. I'm going to actually cut this way back to this bud on this side, because I would like, if this is the front, I would like this to go this way and not come this way towards the viewer. So yes, and I'm liking the top of this still. I think the top looks nice on here. Our question is, do we need both those top pieces? Thinking I'm going to cut this back to here. Let that branch go back. And then this one will come this way. And then we're going to cut this here. And then we're going to cut this. No, we're going to let that grow. That's the leader. We're going to let that grow. Then the focus of the tree will stay. This should help keep the top healthy and won't decline, because we'll keep the everything flowing good. With this thing that's not been touched, this will grow the high, and I can clip it back later in the season, if we need to, if the bottom's not getting a lot of. Now that I've removed some more things, I actually do want this to come up a little more. I think I do want this up more. Yeah, I want this to come up so that it fills in some more of this area in here. Because without this coming over like this, we are missing something here. So that's what we got for a front right now. We have a nice back branch here. We've got a branch or second trunk, whatever you want to call that. It might end up being more of a trunk than a branch. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. We got a branch that goes this way. I like the top. I think the top's nice. It kind of comes towards the viewer, so that's good. And then these will eventually, this comes around and braces, and then this will probably have something that'll come around to the viewer eventually. This is one that last year was the first time I clipped it, and I only clipped it back just because it was getting way overmanaged, and I wasn't ready to really commit to a whole lot last year. But kind of glad I did, because like I said, I ended up with this sprouting out. I think where I cut, oh no, we cut the other branch off. I think back here it was a really weird branch that kind of wrapped a quarter of a way around the tree. No, here it is. This was cut off, so this sprouted out on the other side, which is good. This branch works. The other branch was too thick to move, and it kind of wrapped, I don't know which way, I think it wrapped around this way. It was really close to the trunk, and it wrapped about a quarter of a way around the trunk, and it just looked terrible. But this was kind of one of those trees that I was looking at it, and I didn't really want to cut it. I thought it looked like a beautiful tree as it was. It was no bonsai. It needed refinement, so I had to eventually cut it, and so I cut it again today. Depending what goes on up here, because this does have some reverse taper. If I can clean this edge side up, it should be fine. But we may have to decide on either cutting it here or cutting it there down the line. Maybe. We'll see. I might want to move it back to this anyways at some point. Just for size. I'm not sure what the size of this is going to be. And I'm just going to take a look at, oh yeah, we look like we got some nice, here I'm just trying to look under here. I'm just trying to move that wire that I wrapped around the trunk. I'm just trying to take a look at what roots we have here. Now see, I have a bad root that's kind of sticking up here, so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to get these shears in here, and I'm just going to take these, they're sticking up, so it's never going to be a good root in the future, so I might as well just take it out. Yeah, and I'm just generally going through here. And here we got actually two roots together, real close together here. So I'm going to remove the one off, which is also got like a 90 on it that goes way down into the root. This is not a, yeah, I'm just trying to get, like, these have a tip. The tip is missing on one side of them, so they're hard to use. And then I'll just generally bring that down and cut that out. Then here are some dead roots I can just chop off. And I'm just generally getting anything that looks like it might not work. And this back here is the only place we don't have a good root in here, because it looks like, yeah, it looks like I have no roots in here. I don't know, I may have cut roots last time I worked on this there, and they just nothing grew back, so hopefully something will eventually come out here. That would be helpful. So I just kind of bring some dirt from around. This really needs to be, this was going to be, I planned on repotting this spring, and this is one of those trees that I wanted to get potted and didn't get to because of being sick and things not working out this spring. So I got some stuff that desperately needed it. This doesn't desperately need it, I don't think. I found a good way to, from what I've read, a good way to test your soil is if you can put a, if it's draining, if it's still draining water, it's not holding water, which you will tell if your soil is getting clogged up. You'll see the water when you water it. Sometimes it'll start pulling up on the top, and it won't drain as freely. And then also this just tells you if I can push this down in here. I don't have a lot of roots. I mean, most of the resistance I'm getting, you can feel, is just the particles are just, you know, not lining up good to push it down. But I'm not really getting much resistance to pull this down. But I do know some of this stuff is breaking down in this soil, so I really do want to get this done next year. I think it's the pumice. The pumice is just starting to, the pumice down into the stuff is really breaking apart. You can see there's just little, it's just breaking up into little pieces. The top stuff is still good, but anything lower down on this stuff, the pumice is just breaking up on it. This has been in this 2 years at least, maybe 3. I'm not exactly sure if this got planted the year I got it or the second year I got it, or replanted. Some few of them that I planted the first year I got these 3 years ago were repotted when I got them. They were all repotted except for the Suzuki juniper I had in this group of trees, and a few of them were repotted the next year. I think mainly it might have been just the trident maple that was repotted, and that was because when I got the trident maple, I really couldn't do much root work on it. It had really bad roots, so I thought it was better to just not do a whole lot with it, let it grow out, and then work on it, which is what I did. And then that needs to be repotted next year. I was going to repot that this year, and I didn't. That needs some root work, but that looks like it has good roots too. So if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, hit the bell, comment, and I will see you next time.